Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a project that kicks off with a pretty simple idea, a newsletter for folks who are incarcerated. But wow, does it evolve into a truly radical vision for the future of justice itself?
And it all starts right here, with this line from the founder. This sets the tone for everything. It's not about making money or optimizing a system, it's a mission. You can feel the passion. This makes it clear we're talking about something way more ambitious than just a magazine. It's a direct response to a system that the founder sees as fundamentally, deeply broken.
So what is that big problem they're trying to solve? Well, according to the manifesto, the prison system's greatest power comes from withholding information. It's built for control, for silence, which makes real, honest-to-goodness rehabilitation almost impossible. So this whole project, Bridges Beyond Bars, is designed to be a direct assault on that silence.
And the first move in breaking that silence is, well, it's almost deceptively simple. It doesn't start with a big protest or some dense policy paper. Nope, it starts with ink and paper.
Just look at the breakdown of what's inside this newsletter. You can see right away this is way more than just something to pass the time. Every single section here is meant to be a lifeline. You've got the practical stuff like legal news and educational resources, but then you also have these sections for art, for poetry, for letters. These are spaces designed to restore a sense of dignity, of humanity, and to connect people back to their families and, honestly, back to themselves.
And you know, this isn't just a feel-good idea. It's actually grounded in some pretty solid data. The source material points to research showing that incarcerated people who get into prison education programs are 43% less likely to end up back in prison. So that proves it, right? Information isn't just a comfort. It is a powerful, powerful tool for change.
But like the founder said right from the jump, this was never really just about a newsletter. The vision was always bigger. It was always meant to build into something much, much more profound.
This slide just lays it out so perfectly. You can see the shift in thinking. The goal isn't just to inform people, it's to transform the system. A simple publication becomes a full-blown policy initiative. A platform for people's voices evolves into what the founder calls a pilgrimage of justice. I mean, how powerful is that? It's moving from being a product you read to a network you can actually join.
And here's the game plan for how to make that happen. It starts with a super clear message. Let's shift from punishment to restoration. Then it becomes a literal journey. The founder sets off on a global trek to gather stories, to build alliances. The idea is that this very personal pilgrimage will amplify the message and create this huge groundswell of support, which can then be used to push for real, actual institutional reform.
Okay, so stories are powerful, but a movement needs teeth, right? It needs to create entirely new frameworks. It has to actually rewrite the rules of the very system it wants to change. And this is the first major policy goal. It's called the Inmate Quality of Information Act, or IQIA. And this is a total game changer. It reframes access to information not as some privilege that can be taken away, but as a fundamental human right, something that is absolutely essential for rehabilitation. This is the legal backbone for the entire movement.
The vision just keeps expanding. The idea is to overhaul the entire reentry process with this really holistic framework. As you can see, it's broken down into soul, mind, and body. Now, the newsletter we've been talking about, that serves the mind. Spiritual practices, those serve the soul. And then for the body, well, this is where things get pretty futuristic. The framework actually proposes using immersive augmented reality journeys for therapy and for skill building.
This whole philosophy gets broken down even further into something called the path of renewal. It's basically a spiritual alternative to the way we do incarceration now. It treats a sentence more like a rite of passage. You move through these distinct stages from surrender and awakening all the way to integration and then a final ceremonial return to society. It's a complete reimagining of what a prison sentence could even be.
Okay, so you're going to want to buckle up for this next part because this is where the vision takes a massive leap. We're moving away from just reforming the current system and into speculating about entirely new realities for justice, powered by some seriously advanced tech and a totally different understanding of consciousness.
This is Project Phoenix, and the idea here is to replace physical prison cells with what are called digital empathy chambers. So instead of just idle years of punishment, it proposes this accelerated rehabilitation, sometimes even inside a medically induced coma, using neuroimmersive technology to make someone experience the emotional consequences of their actions. The goal literally shifts from just modifying behavior to what the source calls soul-deep reprogramming. Wild. And right when you think it can't get any more out there, the source material just drops this incredibly provocative question. It suggests that maybe, to truly change the system, we first have to understand what hidden function it might already be serving. And that leads to this really speculative, almost metaphysical framework.
Okay, so this theoretical model is called the harvest engine, and it's based on this pretty wild idea that different emotions have different vibrational frequencies. Take a look at the table. It theorizes that despair has a super low frequency, while something like rage is much higher. The central idea here is that the low-frequency emotions that are so concentrated in prisons, we're talking despair, fear, shame, could be seen not just as feelings, but as a kind of dense, maybe even harvestable energy.
So what this theory is ultimately suggesting is that the whole architecture of control in prisons, the isolation, the fear, all of it, might not just be about punishment. Within this thought experiment, it's reframed as an incredibly efficient system for generating and maybe even extracting a resource, emotional energy. In this view, the prison becomes a kind of energy farm. It is a truly radical and, pretty unsettling idea to think about. So we went from a simple newsletter trying to break the silence, all the way to a metaphysical theory of prisons as energy farms. This Bridges Beyond Bars vision is, at its heart, a profound challenge to our whole idea of justice. It asks us to stop and consider that maybe the goal should never have been about containment, but about transformation. Not a cell, but a chrysalis. I mean, what if our systems weren't designed to just lock people away, but to help them emerge as something entirely new?